2020, Pornhub is free, Instagram will ban you for a nipple, and one website with 3 employees, no app, no office, and a name that sounds like a fan site for your plumber makes $1. $3 billion in profit. How? By charging you $15 to text your neighbor and letting her keep 80%, and that is not a typo. 3 employees, think about that. Your local Subway has more staff on a Tuesday lunch shift than the most profitable porn company on planet Earth had when it cleared over $1 billion in profit. YouTube, with 10,000 employees, offices in 30 countries, an algorithm so smart it knows you're pregnant before you do, made less profit that year than 3 dudes in London with a website uglier than Craigslist. So how does the most profitable porn company in history not technically sell porn? It doesn't. That's the trick. OnlyFans isn't a porn company, it's a toll booth. And the guy who built it was not who you think. It wasn't some horny tech bro in San Francisco. It was a 76-year-old retired British banker named Guy Stokely, a man who had spent his entire life doing mergers at Barclays, a man who had never run a tech company in his life, a man who probably still prints his emails, and he accidentally built the purest business model on earth. But to understand how a retired grandpa ended up taxing loneliness more efficiently than Google taxes attention, you have to understand why everyone else was too scared to do it. Guy Stokely had money. Proper old money. Not Instagram rich, Barclays rich. He spent decades in the city of London doing boring, lucrative things. But his son Tim was kind of a screw-up. Tim tried everything. Nightclub promoter, failed. Stockbroker, failed. He had that specific kind of rich kid restlessness where you have enough money to fail repeatedly without consequences. And in 2011, Dad gives son a little cash to go build something. Tim builds a website called Glamworship, then another called Customs for You. The idea was actually pretty smart. Let YouTubers and fitness influencers charge fans for custom videos, like, hey, pay me $20 and I'll shout out your name while doing squats. It flopped completely. No one wanted to pay for custom fitness videos. But Tim noticed something weird in the data. There was one category where people would pay. Every single time. No questions asked. Sex workers. The very same women who were getting banned from Instagram for showing a little too much skin, getting kicked off PayPal because their content was too risky, getting shadow banned on YouTube. They had millions of followers and zero way to make money from them. Instagram built an empire by making everyone horny for free, then banned the people who actually delivered. And Tim had a light bulb moment that was so stupidly obvious that every billionaire in Silicon Valley had missed it because they were too prudish to look. He didn't need to build a brothel, he needed to build the landlord. See, everyone else was trying to build the next Pornhub, a better tube site, a better algorithm. Tim realized that was dumb. Pornhub sells video. Video is expensive to host, you get sued constantly, you make pennies on ads, and everyone just pirates it anyway. OnlyFans would sell something else entirely, something you can't pirate. And this is where the genius toll booth comes in. Stick with me, because this is the part that made a 76-year-old man richer than the CEO of YouTube. OnlyFans is not a content company. At all. It's a payment processor with a chat box. That's it. Here's how it works, explained like you're 5. Imagine the world's busiest highway. That highway is loneliness. Every single night, millions of lonely guys get on that highway. On one side of the highway is Instagram, TikTok, all that free filtered perfect girl content that makes you feel even more lonely. On the other side is what those guys actually want. Not just a nude. Anyone can get a nude. They want the illusion that she likes them back. OnlyFans built a single toll booth in the middle of that highway. Girl brings her own fans from Instagram. She takes her own photos. She writes her own captions. She answers her own DMs at 2 a.m. She does 100% of the work, bears 100% of the risk, brings 100% of the traffic. OnlyFans does nothing. No camera crew. No studios. No algorithm to build. No content to buy. They just stand at the toll booth and go, cool, you want to talk to her? That'll be $15 a month. Oh, you want her to say your name? That'll be $10 extra. Custom video, $50. And we take 20% of everything. 20% for doing literally nothing. The margins are obscene. We're talking 80% plus profit margin. Apple, the most ruthlessly efficient company on earth, makes about 25% margin. Google makes about 30%. OnlyFans was making 80%. Because when your product is human desperation, your cost of goods sold is 0. And then March 2020 hits. And the toll booth becomes the only road in town. It's March 2020. You're locked inside your apartment. Your job just laid you off over Zoom. Tinder is a ghost town because no one is allowed to meet. Your gym is closed. Your bar is closed. You're alone. You're scared. You're horny and you're bored. All at the same time. And your phone lights up. Beyoncé just said on a remix. All them OnlyFans models on the floor. Bella Thorne, an actual Disney Channel star, just made $1 million in 24 hours. Just by opening an account. And then you look at your feed. Your former barista who used to make your latte, she made $10K this month selling feet pics. Your old college girlfriend who was studying nursing, she's making $25K a month and quit nursing school. The girl who sat next to you in math, $40K. This wasn't some seedy corner of the internet anymore. This was the American dream, rebooted. Why the hell would you work for $15 an hour at Walmart, wearing a mask getting yelled at, when you could make $15,000 a month from your bedroom, in your underwear? The numbers went insane. At the peak of the pandemic, OnlyFans was adding 500,000 new users a day. Not a month, a day. 500,000 lonely people signing up every 24 hours to pay $15 to text their neighbor. They did $8 billion in gross payments in 2021. Let me say that again, $8 billion. With 3 core employees, that's $6 billion per employee. YouTube, again, with all its genius engineers, does about $200,000 per employee. And it felt like empowerment, right? For the first time, sex workers weren't getting screwed by pimps and studios and tube sites stealing their content. They kept 80%. They were the CEO of their own body. The girl next door became a millionaire. But here's the hangover nobody tells you about at the party. And this is where the story gets dark. Because the platform that said it empowered creators had actually perfected something much older. OnlyFans kept 20% while the creators burned out answering 400 DMs a day. Because that 80% promise? It's a lie by math. The top 1% of creators make 33% of all the money on the platform. The top 10% make something like 73%. The bottom 90%? The median creator, the actual average girl who saw Bella Thorne make $1 million and thought, why not me? She makes less than $1,000 a month. Before taxes. Before her phone bill. Before the 30% self-employment tax because, surprise, you're not an employee, you have no health insurance, no 401k, no HR department when a guy leaks your nudes to your family group chat. Leaks. That's the part they don't put in the ads. You can't ever delete it. Once you post, some guy in Ohio screen records it, puts it on Telegram, and now it's forever. Stalking, families finding out, getting fired from your day job because your boss found your link. And OnlyFans? They take no responsibility for any of it. Because remember, they don't technically sell porn, they just own the toll booth. They privatize the profits and socialize the shame. And then the guys who actually own the highway show up and almost kill the entire company overnight. Because here's the dirty secret of the internet. OnlyFans doesn't actually control its own money. MasterCard and Visa do. August 2021. Imagine you're a girl who quit her job. You built a 6-figure business on this platform. You have rent due, you have fans who paid for next month, and you wake up to a press release. OnlyFans announces it will ban porn. No more explicit content. Starting in October, we're going clean. We're going to be a safe-for-work creator platform. Like Patreon, the internet melted down. It was a bank run, but for nudes. Sex workers watched their entire livelihood get vaporized in one corporate blog post. It was betrayal on a biblical scale. The landlord who got rich off his tenants decided to evict them all to impress the bank. Why did they do it? Because after a New York Times expose about underage content on Pornhub, the credit card companies panicked. MasterCard and Visa told every adult site on earth, clean up your act or we cut you off. And OnlyFans, this 3-person billion-dollar toll booth, had zero leverage. No bank wants to be the bank that processes porn. It's bad PR, so they tried to kill the very thing that made them rich. And then, 5 days later, after the entire internet called them the biggest sellouts in history, they reversed it. Just kidding, they said. Porn stays. The truth came out real quick. They couldn't ban porn. Porn was the business. 97% of their revenue was porn. You ban porn, you ban money, you have no company. And while all this drama was happening, the real owners were quietly cashing out. Remember Guy Stokely, the 76-year-old retired banker? In the middle of the pandemic, his family paid themselves over $300 million in dividends in a single year. 1 year. More than the CEO of YouTube made in a decade, for a website with no app, and then they sold it. Secretly. To a guy named Leanid Radvinsky. Who is Leanid? A Ukrainian-American porn billionaire who made his fortune running MyFreeCams, a cam site. A guy who has never given a single interview. A guy so invisible that when you Google him, you get more conspiracy theories than photos. He bought 75% of OnlyFans back in 2018, way before it blew up, and now he's worth an estimated $3 billion. And you've never heard his name once. Which brings us to today. OnlyFans is now worth an estimated $18 billion. It still has no app because Apple would never allow it. It still has no algorithm, no discovery page, no innovation whatsoever. And that is exactly the point. In 2023, OnlyFans paid out more money to its creators than the NBA paid its players. More than $5 billion. Let that sink in. A website with fewer employees than your local McDonald's paid out more to horny girls in their bedrooms than the National Basketball Association paid to LeBron James and Steph Curry combined. Guy Stokely is back to being retired, living in a mansion outside London. Leanest is still invisible, probably on a yacht somewhere with no internet. They didn't invent sex. Humans have been paying for sex since we lived in caves. They didn't even invent internet porn. Pornhub did that. They invented something far more lucrative. They built a toll booth on loneliness in a world where Instagram made you feel lonely and horny for free and then sold you the cure for $15 a month. So here's the punchline. OnlyFans didn't liberate sex work. It gentrified it. It took the world's oldest profession, put it behind a paywall designed by a retired banker, and turned it into a subscription. Just like Netflix. Just like Spotify. The girls do the work. The guys pay to feel less alone for 10 minutes. And a man in his 70s who never posted a nude in his life, who probably still calls it the OnlyFans, takes a fifth off the top of every single transaction. He didn't build a porn empire. He built a tax on loneliness. And it turns out, loneliness pays better than love ever could.